Hello, Jedi Knights and Sith Lords, and welcome to the Star Wars Artifact Show. Tonight, we'll be having a friendly discussion with Labeth. So, without any further ado, let me show you guys my co-host. Eric is there, and Labeth is there. So, how are you doing today?
So great. Thank you for asking.
All right.
How are you?
So, I'm doing fine. I mean, yeah, I'm all pumped because as we are recording this video, we're about to leave for our trip to Galaxy's Edge. So, yeah, it's going to be pretty epic. But as you guys will be watching this video, I will be safely in an airplane on my way back. So, I guess I should be sad because it's all over, but I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah.
because the journey is about to begin.
You're
So,
right. It's exactly right. When this video is posted, that means it's the end of the journey for you. Unfortunately, mine's gonna be
yeah.
done way before then, but it's okay. I'll be over it, I think, by then. So
So, I have an icebreaker for you, an icebreaker question, and it's the same for all my guests, and it's pretty simple, I should say. But what is your favorite Star Wars project? But the trick is, you cannot say the original trilogy.
it could be a series, book, whatever, anything that's Star
A
Wars.
novel,
Yeah,
yeah.
Um, that's a hard question. I've found so much that I love in Star Wars that are outside of the movies. I feel like there's so much that I've thoroughly enjoyed that's outside of the original series, which of course brought me to it. But if we're gonna go besides the original trilogy, my favorite movie that they've put out since, especially Disney's had control, has been Rogue One. I love that movie. I
Hmm.
don't know what it is about it, but it just spoke to me. And I am thoroughly enjoying Ahsoka right now. I just watched the latest episode, and the feels that came through by seeing how they brought Clone Wars come to life was
Hmm.
just absolutely phenomenal for me because I loved that series too.
yeah,
So, so much good stuff.
yeah. I think
Hard to
we
say
we
Yeah,
all
that.
felt that moment, and it's funny because I mean, the internet being what it is, and Facebook and whatnot, like the polarizing opinions about fan service and all this stuff. It's just you got to take it for what it is. But like, I was just like you when I watched the those scenes, and I rewatched it today with my kid because he hadn't seen it yet, and I'm like, oh, Anakin's all over this episode. He's like, what? So we watched it, and I'm sitting there like, and he's asking me all these questions. I'm like, just watch, like because that's what I want to do, just absorb it as much as I can. And seeing Rex and everything was just it was really special. And even the battle between the two of them was just great. So
yeah, and
I do
seeing
have
young
one more.
Ahsoka as well.
yeah,
Oh
yeah,
my gosh, yes.
Hmm.
It was so great. I loved it so much.
yeah.
No, yeah,
But
it was
my
so
my
much fun.
other favorite thing though is my favorite Star Wars character is Dr. Aphra, and she's only in the comics and in the books.
Hmm.
Um, so that's a quite a different direction in comparison to all the original stuff. I just love Dr. Aphra, and I really hope that they wind up doing something cinematic with that as
Live
well.
action with her, yeah, it
Yeah.
could be interesting. They could be like a because she's like the Indiana Jones of Star Wars.
I
She's an
know, I love
archaeologist. She
it.
loves artifacts and stuff like that. So yeah, she could get her own series, I guess.
Oh,
With some all sorts
absolutely.
of stories, and quests and stuff
Her
like that.
droids
And
are also the best.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
They're hilarious.
a bit twisted, but yeah, they're the best.
I mean, it's dark humor for sure, but it's hilarious.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I love that kind of humor too. So
It'd be interesting to see where they would fit her in the timeline with all that, like so it could all come together, right? Because it's like they're doing like the whole Marvel thing, right, where everything is kind of connected somewhere. So it'd be interesting to see where they would put her and where they would set the episodes, I guess. So
yeah, well, most of her story from the comic book takes place around the Solo Star Wars movie.
yeah,
So with Kira and stuff like that. So the Crimson Dawn stuff like that. So it could be a cool timing, and it could be fun to bring back Emilia Clarke as Kira as a cameo once in a while
well, I
in
think
a series
everyone
like that.
wants her back, and I mean, in a perfect world, you'd have Maul back and all that stuff. But I mean,
Hmm.
we'll see.
I mean, do we want Maul back? I mean, he's kind of scary.
Yeah. I don't know. He's always, but you know, it's just the fun part, that's to go back to Clone Wars. For me, like that was having Darth Maul come back, and even that whole scene when he did as that spider slash scorpion kind of look, like it was like super creepy, and that's when previously like it had gotten dark, but like they got really dark. And I'm like, oh, this is not a kids series anymore. Like this got a little bit more, a little bit more real. So.
Yeah, starting with season 3, I guess it gets
season 3 got
pretty serious.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, what are your earliest memories of Star Wars in your life?
Well, I definitely remember watching the original trilogy because my dad was a big Star Wars fan. Mm-hmm. But the religion I grew up in, we weren't like allowed to go to the theater or even watch TV. So the fact that I had seen Star Wars was a big no-no. But my dad was really into sci-fi. So he loved Star Wars. He unfortunately liked Star Trek a little bit better. I personally like Star Wars better. Okay. But when the episode 1 came out in theaters, my dad was like, we're going to go see this. And I was like, yes. So because that was the very first movie I saw on the big screen, that really helped, I felt like, resonate my fandom into Star Wars the most.
Okay. Yeah.
And what movie was that?
Episode 1.
Episode 1.
Episode 1. Okay. Cool.
So the one where Darth Maul dies.
Yeah.
Allegedly. Yeah, exactly. He fell down a hole cut in half, so he got the double whammy, right?
So what got you started on social media? Because you're pretty active now.
I've mostly only been on Instagram for a long time, just because.
Like everyone else,
for me, it was less drama than Facebook, because Facebook was always people airing their dirty laundry, and I'm like, I don't want to be a part of this. This is not my business.
Yeah.
And Instagram was fun. It was pictures and things. So I liked just being able to share pictures and art and stuff like that. So I've used it for a while. I more recently started becoming more active simply because I've had several people who commented on how they like seeing the stuff that I put out every day helps brighten their day. So and that's exactly what I'm trying to do. So I've just kept doing it more. And I was studying marketing in college and whatnot. And so I'm trying to learn more just for career aspects and purposes.
So that's a good segue, because the next question that we had for you is, where did that famous catchphrase that you use on, I'd say, what, 98% of your posts? Like,
I know. That's what it kind of became. So it started actually with me being on TikTok. I made a TikTok just so I can have the account. And then back when there was a time when we were allowed a little bit more freedom as far as our creativity goes, when we were trying to figure things out still at the Star Cruiser, I was able to do a little bit more creative looks. And so my TikTok kind of just started as my documentation of my makeup, really. The phrase eventually turned into what it is, because if you go back to my TikTok and watch my really early videos, I don't say the same thing.
Okay.
May the Stars Light Your Way is specifically from the Star Cruiser. So I incorporated that, and Good Journey is as well. Have a Stellar Day is just me. I threw that in there, and it rhymes, so I just kept going with it.
Yeah, well, it fits in pretty cool.
Thanks.
So that's interesting. So how did you start your career, or how did you land this role, I guess?
I built my Disney resume for it because I heard about it when I first opened Tiffin's and Animal Kingdom.
Okay.
And we probably were only open a couple months at that point when they announced it to the cast that they had this project for a Star Wars hotel. And I wasn't even a bartender yet. And I was like, I bet it'd be really fun to be a bartender there. And so I made it my mission to become a bartender. And I cross-trained at a lot of different places at Disney and got skill coded at Disney to be a bartender after doing work outside of there. And then I opened Oga's Cantina. So I have like that Star Wars angle. Disney's Riviera Resort. So then I had a resort opening on my resume as well to then open the Star Wars Classic Star Cruiser.
Okay, so you mentioned something about you know, the things that you learned, some text that you had to say that you incorporate into your Instagram posts, and
Yeah.
you know, how was that? Like, was that part of the training? Obviously, it was, but like, was there more things? Like, I've been there, and you know, when you walk in the cast that say Bright Suns and all that stuff, is there a lot of that that's incorporated in your training to transition, I guess, to the Star Wars Galaxy's Edge? Or?
We're given like a set of phrases.
Mm-hmm.
Because like bright suns is, instead of saying hello, you know, it's just a general greeting. So they go through and like they give you like a general greeting. Restrooms were originally called just the refreshers, but they had to change a lot of the dialogue because our audience wasn't understanding a lot of the Star Wars speak, especially if they were Star Wars fans, like walking into Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah.
But we were given like a set of a few different phrases and stuff to go like in theme with the land.
And are
Yeah,
you?
it makes sense. Like a cell phone is like a data pad, I guess, stuff like that. So
Correct.
And what's the leniency on breaking, I guess, I don't want to say breaking character, but so I'll tell you a story. When I went to the cantina, I was with my kid. So the barmaid, or I'm not sure what the title would be. She basically said, here's the ones with the non-alcoholic beverages. Tasted a lot like, you know, kind of Gatorade stuff, and you know, so the kid liked it, and it was funny because my kid didn't want anything, and he's like, can I have a Coke? And she's like, how about this? She's like, I'll give you a drink, and if you don't like it, I'll give you a Coke. And it was a super cool interaction because he loved the drink, and I'm like, perfect, so he doesn't have to drink a Coke, right? So I'm like, you come here, you don't want to be drinking Coke, right?
yeah, for sure.
So, and then at one point we took a second drink. I wanted to try something else, and she mentioned what it was, and I'm like, she goes, oh, it's just like this, like as if I was supposed to know what it was, and I'm like, and she kind of just like went, it's like coffee, and I'm like, ah, okay, yes, you know. So like, she kind of broke the character a bit. But is that something that you guys are allowed to do, or?
They discourage that, of course. Talking out of universe. Usually in times like that where you don't understand what I'm saying by saying calf, which is caffeine, which is coffee. Then I'll say something like, well, I've heard some travelers call it by this name, if that sounds familiar to you. Okay,
that's cool. Yeah.
Sort of thing. Because, you know, you see travels from all over the galaxy, and it can always be an I heard, not I know, or nothing factual, or you know, you have to like make it more like opinion based wise.
Yeah, I had one cast member who was working in the market, and he asked where I came from, and I said I think it was like Quebec, Canada, or something like that. And he made up a name of a planet using Quebec. Oh, I've heard of that before. And then he spoke about the language that we speak here, which is French. And then he's like, he said one word to me in French, and I'm like, oh, well, I could teach you some more if you wanted. So I taught him, may the force be with you, in French, and he wrote it down. And then I think the second time I went back on my trip, I kind of put him on the spot, and I'm like, hey, do you remember the I don't know if he called it Quebeconian or something like that I taught you, and he knew it. He took out his little paper and he read the thing, so it was really cool. So anyway, at the cast members, awesome. Everyone was great when I was there, so that was a lot of fun. So you mentioned how you started working at the Star Cruiser, so you transitioned. You said you were at sorry, not the Star Cruiser, but the Cantina.
Animal Kingdom.
You were at Animal Kingdom, then you went to the Cantina, and then moved on to the Star Cruiser.
Kind of. I did have one other work location in between there, but
okay.
But essentially, yes, that's what happened. I opened Tiffins. I transferred to Sci-Fi Dining Theater in Hollywood Studios because I also wanted to be in Hollywood Studios because I had heard that they were going to be doing a lot of the Star Wars stuff around Hollywood Studios. So I just wanted to already be in the area and a little bit more knowledgeable about like that park and things like that. So I transferred to Sci-Fi Dining Theater. While I was there is whenever they announced and started doing the opening for Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. So then I got onto Oga's Cantina for opening team. And I was there for a grand total of 4 months because then they decided to turn around and open Disney's Riviera Resort. And then I transferred and opened Disney's Riviera Resort at the Bar Riva, the pool bar, and then Lepsy Cafe as one of the bartender trainers for that property. And then from there, the Star Wars Star Cruiser as a bartender opening trainer.
Okay.
Wow, that's cool.
So at the cantina, can you serve anything else besides what's on the menu? No.
No.
Okay. So I guess you're limited in terms of creativity, or even like, I mean, so whatever, I don't know if you call it mixology or something that you would get as your more traditional bartending training, like you're kind of limited, right? When you go there, you have to make these, I don't know, 12 different drinks, and that's about it, right? So.
Well, you also gotta like look at the environment, right? You're at this sleazy watering hole, which is, you know, it's not high class. So do you think she cares about providing you with the best possible options? No. The Star Cruiser is a luxury experience. Therefore, we automatically have to have a higher level of hospitality. So we're going to provide you with more options to get you what you want and need, because you are getting that class versus at Oga's Cantina, which is, you know, the slummy sleaze hole that's run by a crime lord. Yeah. So.
And your role on the Star Cruiser was essentially the same? Is it still bartender or?
So I was only a cocktail server over at Oga's Cantina. I was a bartender there at the Star Cruiser.
Okay.
Okay. You know, speaking of drinks, I mean, you know, I think it would be weird just to order like a plain martini or a plain Cosmo on the Star Cruiser. I mean, you're living an experience, an immersive experience. So yeah, go with the Mustafar. I can't remember the full name, but there was some very cool drinks on the Star Cruiser that, you know, that appealed to me as soon as I saw them. Just seeing the pictures, but water to my mouth. I was like, wow, that looks awesome, you know. So, and I even got some of the glasses that were, you know, used on the Star Cruiser. So. I thought the glassware looked amazing and very immersive too. So
yeah, I love the goblet especially because that one's also in Solo for the above inlet.
True, and we saw them in Andor as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, with the green drinks. Yeah, I remember when the episode came out. I had my props right next to me on my table. And I was like, "Hey, I got those glasses."
Yeah.
So, how are you the first day dealing with guests, I guess? So, I mean, obviously, you know, when working at Oga's Cantina, was that different than when you had to deal with guests, I guess, on the cruiser? Was there more pressure because of I don't want to say because they paid tons of money everyone pays tons of money to go to Disney in the first place. And I know firsthand from going in January with the family, but, you know, that cruiser is definitely, like you said, a luxury experience, and people have paid quite the amount of money to be there and to have that experience. So did you feel any pressure or to deal with them?
There was tons of pressure on us just in general. I mean, there always is anytime you have a new opening because Disney wants to make sure they do it right. And so there's all hands on deck. And I am a huge Star Wars fan. I was very dedicated to this project. Again, I built my resume to be there, you know. So for me, I was just all in, and I do well whenever I have a lot of pressure, I feel like, and when things get chaotic and busy and whatnot, like I still do a pretty good job of going with the flow of the operation. And I don't feel like I had as much feelings of pressure or anxiety by the time I got to the Star Cruiser in comparison to previous places, simply because I was more experienced then. Because I had been in these previous environments that got insane or crazy, and I was familiar enough with my role that I was able to handle it no problem. So by the time I got to the Star Cruiser, I feel like it was just more excitement that I got to meet other Star Wars fans, really, you know, and anybody who wanted to be a part of this world and help bring them into it, make them feel like they're in it. I was just more excited about that rather than feeling stressed out.
Okay.
Did you get into any problems with Lieutenant Croy?
Well, he would commonly complain about the lighting in the Summit Lounge. He kept trying to change it into his office. So, you know, we had some dealings here and there, but I did my best to keep him happy, just to make sure things stayed peaceful enough, at least in the lounge.
All right, excellent. Yeah, because you know he has his ways of getting into people's skin, right?
Oh, definitely, definitely.
So how is it like? So the experience is a 3 day. Was it 3 days in total, or for?
So it was 2 nights, and then technically you're there the third day, but you're leaving in the morning. So
Yeah.
I'm only going to on 2 days because I was in the lounge, and the lounge opens up at 1 p.m. every day. So if you're leaving by 10 a.m., I'm not going to see you on day 3.
Okay.
So we usually would just say it's a 2-day experience because day 3 was always a turn day because I would have completely new guests that next day.
Did it feel a little bit like a Groundhog Day? You know, where it's like it's constantly like every 2-3 days, right? You're reliving the same experience over and over again. Did you have a script to go along with, I guess, the experience that they had to go with?
So again, they gave us like the general phrasing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had a script for Spirits of Adventure. But outside of that, no, I was not given like an actual script.
You just interact with the guests and
Correct.
come in, okay.
And stay within the universe.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to put a couple pictures here to kind of show a little bit what goes on your content. So it's going to be a little bit of a slideshow. If you want to stop at any of these, let us know. But this is just an example of stuff that you'll see if you follow Labeth, or should I call you Laura or Labeth? I'm not sure what to.
Labeth.
Okay,
yeah, so by Beth on the Star Cruise. It's because I Star Wars my name.
Okay.
My name is Laura Beth.
Yeah.
So, I just made it more Star Warsy by making it Labeth.
Okay. So what I've noticed, I mean, it's I wasn't following you before, and you know, until I met you through Dominic, and he's been following you for a while, and it's definitely like for me, it's something that brightens my feed because not that I follow negative or gloomy stuff, but like I follow my own things, right? And it's just usually news feed, or you know, sometimes you get the occasional toxic Star Wars fan base that comes in. You're just like, you know, scroll through. But this is definitely something
Toxic fan base. Yeah. I don't know what you're talking about.
Not all of it, and really not all of it. You know, it's just, you know, obviously the toxic ones seem to speak a little louder than the general or the mass amount of fans that are a little bit more positive. But so this obviously brightens. It's funny, coincidentally brightens my timeline when I look at it, because it's always very positive. You know, sometimes it's a little bit more candid and everything like that. So is there any direction with your Instagram, or you just go with the flow?
Well, I always say it's a dark universe out there, and I'm just here to brighten it up.
Mm-hmm.
It's just to put more positivity in the world. Like for me, what I've definitely noticed, if I don't find a way to put my mindset in something more positive in the morning, especially when I'm being able to express my creativity, it really helps me get into a more positive mindset. Then my whole day is better. So if I don't start that in the beginning, it's very hard for me to keep it going.
Yeah.
That's why that way. And I want to help inspire others as well, because perspective is everything, right? If you have a negative perspective about things, your life is going to be terrible.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But if you decide to look at it positively, instead of seeing bad things that happen as something horrible and awful and you just want to give up, you see it as an opportunity and look at the positives that you can gain from it or learn and whatnot. So I want people to be able to freely express themselves, be positive, be creative, and just be able to feel comfortable enough to live their life.
Right.
And I think just a positive mindset to begin with helps.
Yeah, it's like that famous phrase. I mean, I got it from the Conor McGregor. He goes, you know, you don't lose. He goes, you win or you learn, right? There's the only two possibilities you can take from it. And I've done that change myself. Like, so, you know, twisting anything that's negative is like, if you're not learning from it, then you won't move forward with it, right? So that's how you're going to make life better, is from learning and moving on. But like, yeah, so I mean, I've gone through the rabbit hole of many Instagrams, and I've went through yours and looked at a few posts, and like at times, like I said, you get a little bit more candid, but like generally, like it's always super positive. And I was wondering for the looks, the changes from what you're wearing now, and then you have like the Twilight look and all that stuff. So how does that all kind of come together? Like choosing your look, I guess, for each part.
I wind up making it up in the spot. I'm very much a in the moment kind of person, and I'm a generator. Like I respond to what comes to me, and I can turn it into something pretty big. And so I might have like a general idea of a concept and direction I want to go with my outfits, but it's usually kind of just what comes together in the moment as I'm trying to piece things together through my different accessories and things that I have. I wish I had more time to do more Twi'lek looks, but I've been working so much lately that I haven't. Because I love Star Wars, and I love a lot of the fashion designs, and I feel like I'm coming up with some cooler ways to turn my outfits, even on a daily basis, to look a little bit more like Star Wars-esque or themed. Just because I like the flowy robes and stuff, and I have an accessory problem, so all the accessories to especially like decorate my Leku up, I need to get better at that. I need more things to make that more fun for my cosplay. But
was that provided? I just
like create. I love to create.
Was any of that provided to you, or is like?
No, it's all stuff I got.
And you were allowed to wear. Well, I mean, within a certain parameter, I guess. But every morning you can look different. You didn't have to look exactly the same like every time you went, or.
Correct, but I couldn't. I mean, I couldn't wear my Leku at work. It was just my colors, like on my eyes and stuff, really, that might have changed a little bit.
Okay.
But I got to use more colors in the beginning, and then they kept coming back and like, okay, well, no, this is the direction we're going to go, and okay, now this is the direction we're going to go. So it limited my freedom as far as what I was doing, because there was a little bit of a stretch. I was theming it. So on excursion day, when people were on Batu, I did like 3 bright suns on this eye, and then I did 2 moons on this eye. So they were like polar opposite on each eye, and they were like, okay, you gotta like stop.
Find some symmetry.
Because I was going a little too crazy with it, but I was having fun with it too, because I was trying to have fun with everybody else and just bring a little bit of another angle of theming into the universe.
Is there a lot of kids that went on the experience?
Oh yeah, definitely plenty.
Yeah,
I met a lot.
Okay.
I definitely saw a lot of interesting characters. There were some really fun kids that came on board. Man, kids say the darndest things as you dare,
And I got to see some pictures of entire families getting into the role playing, and taking it to the next level, I guess. And how important, or how did it help make the journey successful? For the entire experience, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was amazing to see those young kids, especially the whole families that were getting into it together. Because I would have loved to have had that experience at a young age.
Yeah.
And
me too.
I just try and think of what it might do for them in the future, how that might inspire them to do whatever it is that they might choose to do with their careers or whatnot. But I saw so much opportunity, like mentally, for people to be able to find ways to grow, and I feel like a lot of the community has in some of the different people I've interacted with, just because the way play can just open up the brain and the mind's pathways to help you resolve other issues in your life or come to realizations about yourself. And you got to be a part of the experience. It's so amazing. I'm so sad it's ending, because so many more people need to be able to be a part of an experience like that.
Yeah. Do you think that the cosplay part should have been mandatory for all the travelers? Because I always find it weird to see like a cute couple with in-universe clothing, and right next to them there was like this guy in shorts and his Abercrombie t-shirt, and it kind of clashes.
In a perfect world, everybody would be cosplaying from a different planet, right? And they would not a single person would say that they're from Earth, because Earth isn't, not in the galaxy.
Yeah.
Like a movie mystery night, right? Like everyone's got a role, and you got to try to play it to your best ability or something. Like it kind of feels.
Yeah. But anytime you have doors open to that much of the public, especially when they don't understand what they're stepping into, it's impossible to really make that happen.
Yeah.
That's actually a question I had, because like, so you're mentioning how people are going in and they're full blown into the experience, but like, was there people that just like, and I don't want to judge, but like people who just had money, it's like, you know what, I'll do this, limited knowledge probably of Star Wars, or very casual fan, and just like weren't really getting into it, like they were just there and like, maybe lost, didn't expect it to be that much of an experience. They just thought they were going to get like some kind of luxury Star Wars thing. Like, did you encounter any of that?
Yeah, well, people called it the Star Wars Hotel for so long.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, no, it's not an hotel. I was defending the Star Cruiser. It's a starship. It's an experience. And they were like, well, it's an hotel. No, it's not.
Yeah, I know, and don't call it that to certain people who've worked on the project, so they get very, very upset. And
oh yeah, for sure.
And even I try not to say the word hotel. I would say resort, because to at least sound a little bit better if somebody about it who doesn't understand the experience. But like when they originally announced the concept, and they said it's a hotel because it's a place with rooms that you're staying in, yes, but it is more than that. They also would bring people in, though, that had no idea about it. So we had DVC members were able to start, which is Disney Vacation Club, to those who are not unfamiliar with the vernacular, but they would come in and use their points there. So there were times where we had people who knew nothing about Star Wars.
Okay.
And they come in there and they're getting upset because it's not a normal hotel.
And they're like, why are they talking to me like this? Why are they acting like this? And it's like,
And they want normal hotel things.
Yeah.
And they don't care about playing in this story and being a part of that. There were people that kind of came in like that.
Yeah.
So I would always try and find clever ways to make them feel like they're in the universe and entertain them in a different way that was outside of the story and the things that were going on board, to still try and give them that hotel experience that they were looking for by just providing hospitality and service.
I'm assuming it's a lot more of an isolated case compared to the general public that did go in, right? Like, I mean, I'm sure it didn't happen that much, or at least I'd hope it didn't happen.
There was significantly less cosplaying, like the full cruises, than I think most.
Really?
So you were referring to, the people being on the Star Cruiser, interacting with the cast members and stuff like that. And Eric and I are both members of the 501st. And, there's so many times we hear Kylo Ren's being called Darth Vader and stuff like that. So did you witness some of the goofy stuff while being on board the Star Cruiser? Or?
Oh, yeah. And people would come in and try and talk like they're in the timeline of, the original episodes.
Okay.
And I'd be like, do you know what year we're in right now?
So are you a time traveler? What's going on here? It's
or be like, were you involved in an accident recently? Don't understand what year it is. There would be like a couple things that I would like maybe cleverly play in with what I might say. Or wait, you heard that? This is what I heard. you know. So, and I would just kind of turn it into asking them a little bit more questions about it, and to get them to kind of understand that I understand that you're trying to play this character from a different timeline, but that person's no longer with us because they died.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, or what might be the case. But it was also still their journey. So if they wanted to come there and they wanted to play Princess Leia and Han Solo together that before they even got married and had Kylo Ren,
Mm-hmm.
sure, have fun. You can do that.
Yeah.
And while you're interacting with me, I'm still going to engage with you like you're that character. And I don't know how many people I would call General or Your Highness or whatnot, because they were coming in playing one of these roles. Ultimately, it's your story. It's your journey. You're there to do what you want. I would still say the things that I would say to stay within my timeline. And often I would kind of like go and be like, oh, you just don't want people to know that. Okay, I got you. Don't worry. Like, your secret's safe with me, you know, sort of situation. So I always found ways to turn things around and just keep them happy on their journey, but also for those that were around who might overhear things, to also still keep them on their timeline and in their journey and their story that they're doing. So it was a fun challenge that I very much enjoyed.
So for those who don't know, that what's the timeline that you were given, I guess, by the organizers or staff or something?
Yeah, so we were in 34 ABY.
Okay.
Which is
I was about to say 30, so yeah, I wasn't that far.
So yeah, it's in between episodes 8 and 9 is the timeline where we're at, which is Galaxy's Edge as well. It's not just the Star Cruiser. They're all the whole world's.
So that's I read the Black Spire book. Well, I listened to the audiobook version of it because I had no time to read it. So on my way in and out of work, that's what I was doing. And then sometimes I would almost welcome traffic so I can finish it sooner. But so that's what I understood from there. And it's funny the way that they kind of just left off the book. Dom, did you finish it yet, or?
No, I still have 4 hours to go.
Okay, so there's like a kind of like a
don't spoil my story.
No, but like it's so I mean you know where it's going, but like so when the book ended, I'm like, huh, okay. But then there's like this extra little kind of thing that they put in to set up Galaxy's Edge and that whole, you know, the experience is going there because like they're, you know, what they're doing, and Dom, I'm sure who they're fighting off. There's no sign of Kylo and Rey and all this stuff, right? So then all of a sudden, whoop, when you go to Galaxy's Edge, they're there, and you're trying to see, well, how does that all fit in? And I guess the experience is happening parallel to all this at what we're seeing, right? Anyone who's on Batuu it's all happening at the same time, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because you know when the Black Spire book is supposed to end, you know, it continues with the storyline at Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah.
So I'm not expecting to see Vi Moradi leave the Black Spire outpost because I know she's still there when you go to Galaxy's Edge. So, yeah.
And those cast members end up coming on to the experience. I mean,
Vi never stepped on board.
No.
I never saw her.
And Rey and Chewie and.
Yeah, Rey does, and Chewie does.
Okay. Not much spoiler, I think, at this point, because by the time that the
video airs
out, that'll be the end.
You won't be able to book a trip on the Alcyon by then, so.
True. Yeah, you're not wrong.
So if you can, you know, obviously they're closing the experience. What is it that you think they could have done better, or, you know, what do you think went kind of wrong? Because I mean, they're not closing because it was a huge success, obviously, right? I mean, to be honest, if it was a huge success, they'd continue with it. But what do you think kind of went wrong?
Aside from the price tag, I guess, because that's the main reason they never got to go.
Yeah.
I have a list of speculations.
Okay.
And areas where I definitely saw opportunities to improve and help. However, I was a bartender trainer. I was not any part of the business and how they structured things, how they ran it.
Yeah.
So no matter what I might say, what it comes down to is the fact that it's not my business. It's not my company.
Well, let me rephrase then. It is your hypothetical,
pretend
it
it's yours.
is your business. What would you do as of today? What would you do? You don't have to say what they did wrong or what you think they might, but like if you were to reform, like change the formula, what would you do going forward?
I don't believe the space was appropriately reflected to show what it was.
Okay.
So many people still didn't understand what the experience was because of the way it was advertised.
Okay. Because of the hotel, like we were talking before, people thinking it's a hotel, it was unclear that you're basically living an experience
Instead of an
over the
immersive
span of 3
experience.
days.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know that. Honestly, like we were at Dominic's house probably a little bit less than a year ago, and we were talking about it, and I started talking with another member of our team, and I'm like, maybe we should look into doing this. A few, like with my whole family, I don't think it'd be possible. I'm like, if we get a group of 4 and let's go and do this. And then they were explaining it, and then I started reading up on it. But had I never done that, never had that conversation, I would have just thought same thing. Oh, the Star Wars hotel. Yeah, I want to go and do this. But when he explained it to it, you have to try to approach it as a character, and you're living that experience, right? So
to optimize the experience, I guess. And as Labette said, you don't have to, but yeah, it does give a little boost to your experience for sure.
So I'll let you continue. What would you try to do, like maybe to make that clear, or would it just be to change the formula to not have that confusion?
They finally came out with a advertisement that showed up like a year after. I'm trying to think. I might have left the company at that point by the time I saw this advertisement.
Okay.
I don't really remember. That did a better job of illustrating what the whole experience was about. But I think there were so many more pieces outside of just that hotel because of all the operation sides of it being a hotel still on top of everything else. And it was the first experience like it because you're integrating the resort hotel in with this immersive experience that is, essentially LARPing. You're doing live action role play while you're there. So there were so many pieces that had never been done before, and they were testing the market out and doing it. But it was also bad timing for the business. I mean, COVID just happened. Disney lost so much money because Disneyland shut down forever.
Yeah.
So there's all these different business
uncontrollable factors.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many things. It's the political battle between Disney and DeSantis in Florida, and there's so many different things that it's hard to really pinpoint and discuss just this one specific experience because the company as a whole was suffering in so many other ways.
Well, I thought that, my personal opinion is that there's a limited amount of Star Wars fans, right? So not everyone's going to Hollywood Studios or Disney General for Star Wars. So you have that. And then if you start peeling away, well, how many of that have the budget to go and have that experience? And then once everyone's done it, well, how many are going to go back, right? And then, so like trying to fill these rooms, again, this is just my personal opinion, like trying to fill these rooms on a consistent basis long term was eventually like the well was going to dry out, I think. And then at one point, and this is what it seemed to be like, there was a lot of vacancy, and from what I heard, they couldn't even do some of the scheduled, I think, experiences because there was not enough people. And then now it's packed, right? Like now because they were closing and everyone jumped on. But I felt like it wasn't going in the right direction, and I'm like, and as a fan, as someone who would have loved to have been there, not necessarily pay because we're in Canada, so the conversion rate's insane, like $5,000 or whatever is going to end up costing us, like $7,000-8,000 Canadian for 3 days of an experience is a lot. But like if there was a way for us to go there and have a 1-day experience, for not even if it's a fraction of the price, but like obviously a premium price, but have some kind of experience there, even if it's for one night or something, I think that would be a lot more feasible, and you can have a better rotation of people rather than, people that are committing 3 days to Star Wars, right? Because I think that like in the end, I went to Hollywood Studios for 2 days. My time was mostly spent at Galaxy's Edge. I ended up doing Rise of the Resistance 5 times. There's not 20 rides there, right? Like, So
No.
once you've been there for a couple days, I just like being there, but I could see the people just going, all right, I've done it, move on.
Yeah, for a more casual fan, I mean, once you've done it, you've done it. So,
Yeah.
but we're the opposite. We at the other end of the spectrum. We're huge fans. So, just
Yeah.
sitting next to the Falcon and staring at the decor, the set, and the spires and stuff like that, like it's fun. I'm sure when I'm there, I'm gonna say, well, I could stay there for like an hour just watching around the people, walking around, stuff like that. So,
But that's it.
but
So you have that kind of fan base, right? And I was just sitting there on a rock with the noise coming out of the
yeah, that's
bushes, and I
it.
was like, "Oh, this is awesome!" Like just that for me was cool. I didn't know what creature was back there, but try to use that kind of imagination. But again, I feel like it was kind of limiting the I guess your customer base, and I just didn't think that long term experience. So like, I'm not sure if they're gonna, I don't know, look at their formula and reopen under something else or expand or put a new ride and stuff like that. But like, it'd just be a shame if all that went to waste, right?
I
Yeah,
really,
I hope they do.
I really doubt they're going to not do something with it.
Hmm.
And again, like I'm not on the business side of things, so I'm not sure what all the legal plans are and stuff with some of the things that they're doing. Because I know there's like, it's too much that I don't have enough information or knowledge about to really
Yeah.
speak to. So
Yeah.
stop. But I see them potentially doing something with it in the future. Will it be soon? Probably not.
Hmm.
I don't see how they couldn't have tested this whole experience out and not gained a ton of valuable data from
Yeah.
it to be able to create something more better with the knowledge they have from this experience. I
Yeah.
have said this to a lot of people that, oh, guys, this is just like an origin story, right? Like, this is just where
Hmm.
it started. Who knows what's going to happen in the Star Wars universe after this?
Yeah.
Because you gain so much and learn so much from the Halcyon.
Yeah, and if you look at the lore, I mean, the ASEAN has been there since the era of the High Republic.
Well,
So,
yeah, 75 years old. We're celebrating the 275th anniversary when we go on board,
yeah, so I mean, they could make some journeys for the fans of the High Republic, some trips for the fans of the original trilogy, some trips for the fan of the prequels. So they could customize the experience every once in a while, I
Kind of like
guess.
Star Tours has their different, I guess, versions, right? So I thought like, so there's one
Well,
thing, and like you said, there's confusion. I think there is confusion when people go to Galaxy's Edge because they're expecting where's Darth Vader and where the the stormtroopers, and so there is Chewie that's there, obvious for obvious reasons, but like those characters which are and even there's a lot of people, let's be honest, didn't like the sequels, just like a lot of people didn't like the prequels, and I think that that's where there's a lack of, I guess, diversity with the, I guess, timeline, right? So I always thought like if you had some kind of experience, like a flashback experience, kind of like you watch Ahsoka and she had that flashback experience with Anakin. If you can build an experience where you can kind of please the more casual fan by going into a ride or experiencing something where you will see Darth Vader, call it a flashback kind of experience, right? Or like Dom said, you try to keep it diverse, like Star Tours does, where you go in one time it could be Vader, one time you could be in the prequels and kind of see Anakin or something like that. I think that is gonna probably get a little bit more traction than, I'm not saying that they're being stubborn, but like you're staying in the sequels, which is in an era that's not the most appreciated. Look, everything's in the Mandoverse now, right? And I think
Yeah.
that that's something that they could tap in. Yeah, so the Mando,
mhm.
I think, is walking around and everything these days, but even that's a little weird to have Mando walking around Galaxy's Edge, right?
Yeah. Well, for like continuity and like their timelines and things, the problem would be if they were to try to make the Halcyon like these previous experiences, because it has been so old, right? So you're going to
Mhm.
a different era. Then where is your excursion taking you? Are you not visiting another planet? Because if they take you to Batu
You're right.
that time frame
Yeah.
between episode 7 or sorry 8 and 9. So that's where you have a little bit more issues. Like, unless they're going to build another like park that represents another planet or something that the port takes you to, unless they
do you're right.
Thing. Like, but that's a huge, much bigger project in order to then create other lands to create different planets. Because then you might as well have just a Star Wars land, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
got to build a world between worlds, an experience. Then you go buzzing through different kind of areas. I mean, that's one thing I guess they can, if they want to tap into that, right? I guess I don't know if that was what we experienced, I guess, in Ahsoka, but it's something that they could look into and incorporate that into the ride. Because again, like I thought there's a lot of continuity and when I, reading the books and the experience there and the cast and then all of a sudden they're like, whoa, Boba Fett's going to be on. I don't know if he's in Disney World, but I know he's at Disneyland, right? So I'm like, well, how does that fit in?
Yeah, Boba is fitting at Disneyland.
Yeah, and now you have Hera that's there as well.
Yeah, and Ahsoka.
Yeah. So it's like I can almost understand Ahsoka to an extent, but like now you're just kind of throwing stuff in there. Which, wait a minute, now you're kind of like potentially breaking your little rule there, right? So I don't know. It's
well,
correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but because you've both been there, the only technological thing that is betraying the era is the TIE echelon, because all the rest could be there if you're in the Empire era, the Prequels era, or the High Republic era.
You mean like the decorations you're saying?
Yeah, in the decor, yeah. I think the only thing that betrays is the echelon. So maybe there could be a way just to, I don't know, I'm thinking out loud there, but you switch the echelon for a Titanium shuttle, and then you have your Imperial era setting, and then you switch the Titanium shuttle for anything else from the prequels era.
Well,
so
I don't think that they need to change necessarily the setting. Like, again, my personal opinion, I think it's just they need to have a ride like other than Star Tours that'll show you Darth Vader, or you can have a live action Vader or animatronic like you have of Kylo like in Rise, just so that satisfy that fan base that's going in there. Where's Luke and Darth, right? Like, so.
Well, you do have stuff like at the launch bay and Star Tours and stuff which are outside of Galaxy's Edge at Hollywood Studios to bring in these other characters.
Yeah, they have character meetup.
But yeah, they don't have them in the land. They don't have them on the planet of Batu.
Yeah.
But I think part of the issue was people weren't excited about the Star Cruiser because you didn't have those characters to go see on the Star Cruiser that were as familiar. So your fan base who are loyal to episodes 4, 5, and 6 aren't going to be as excited.
Yeah. Because
you don't have those characters there. I mean, well, you got so you at least have one that's pulled in. But and there are talks of Han and Leia, and they do have an impression that was made on the Halcyon because that's where they spent their honeymoon.
That's
so you have other impressions, but you don't get to go actually meet those characters. You don't get to go meet Darth Vader. So because those characters aren't as well known, like nobody really knows who Gaia is. You have these other characters on board that people aren't as excited about because they just don't know about them.
Yeah.
It's not going to pull in that fan base that just wants to come and meet characters, which is what a lot of Disney is.
Yeah.
You want to go and meet the princesses and stand in line forever to go meet Mickey. Things like that isn't reflected, I feel like, in the kind of marketing that they had for the Star Cruiser, which is, to me, was another area they had a little bit more opportunity to grow. But we don't know what we're going to see with it still. Who knows what the plans are? There's so much that they're really good about keeping a tight lid on and not talking about and not sharing with anybody lower, really. So again, lots of opportunity to grow. We're going to see what's going to happen with it. I don't think this is the end. I think that there will be something because there is a significant enough fan base for Star Wars and all of it to still pick from.
Yeah. So,
well, to finish, I guess on a high note, I mean, what do you want the people to remember of the Halcyon Star Cruiser?
just the lessons that we all learned. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I felt like so many people I have seen have grown in such great ways
Mm-hmm.
from just being able to experience the Star Cruiser. And it's such a beautiful thing to see so much more creativity and things come out of people because of that. And it goes a lot line with like what my Instagram's all about, like just trying to bring positivity and creativity to your day to help you do better. And I feel like I noticed that impact on so many people that were on aboard the Halcyon, and it's just such a beautiful thing to see. I don't think it's gonna stop. I think such a big community is being built around all of this for people who don't want that sort of thing to end because they have gained so much from it.
Yeah, and I'm sure you've met all sorts of great, interesting people while you were working over there, and you keep fond memories of that whole experience, I guess.
Yeah.
Speaking of memories,
all right, so
what would you think were your favorite memories? I mean, the current goal is probably in line with the last question, but your personal memories that you've taken away from that.
Just the fun I got to have with our passengers. You know, there were so many great moments that I got to have with people and enhance their journey. So they were having such a good time. And I have a plethora of wonderful connections that I've been able to make because of the Halcyon and helping people be able to enjoy their journeys. And for me, the connections I've made and the people that I've met throughout the process has been one of my biggest takeaways. I'm so grateful for all of that. It was a valuable experience, a very valuable experience.
All right, so I guess we'll let you go, and well, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you continue bringing some nice positivity on the web and social media. So thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully you had a good time, and hopefully our viewers had a cool time listening to this interview. Well, I'll let you say your little phrase, because usually I say, you know, thanks for joining us. May the force be with you always. But I'll let you go ahead with the send off.
All right. Well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I enjoyed this time with you. I do hope that you all have a good journey and have a stellar day. May the stars light your way.
Remember, the Force will be with you, always.